Welcome to another episode of the Funky Marketing Podcast. This is the podcast when I'm talking with, first of all, I like to say friends, virtual and the real ones, people who are doing good things for the good people and who are being also good people themselves. So today I have a pleasure to welcome our first female guest. So I would let her say her name and also a few things about her. I think that's the best way.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Love how you started with the whole friends thing. Because I think we have interacted a lot on LinkedIn, and I'm super. This is the first time I actually get to see you and have a conversation with you. But I feel like I already know you, so that's awesome. So yeah, my name is Zineb Layachi. I'm a marketing strategy consultant. I love everything startups. So I did start my career in the corporate world, and I quickly, maybe we can talk about that later a little bit. So I switched to the startup world. I'm completely in love with that. I'm a startup mentor in different incubators. And yeah, I'm a strategy consultant for early stage B2B startups, and also co-founder and co-host of PitchSLAP. So there you go. Shameless plug.
That's interesting. I like the name a lot because here we have a friend. She's also doing something like that. I don't know if it's called PitchSLAP, but it's sort of similar. Something like that. She's also preparing startups to pitch and those kind of things. So awesome. I found it interesting the second that I saw it. So let's start with the one thing. I was just before we entered the call, I was listening to Bruce Springsteen. I don't know why, but sometimes I like to listen to him. And he says you can start a fire without a spark, right? Dancing in the dark. So I think the spark right now is on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to B2B. So let's go and chat a little bit about why we should be on LinkedIn. Why should anybody be on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first? Yeah. Okay. All right. I think, and you'll probably agree. I mean, the opportunity to really grow on LinkedIn was 5 years ago, 6 years. No. However, that doesn't mean that today there isn't an opportunity. It's one of the only platforms where the reach is still pretty nice. No, to your content reach. I mean, in Instagram, Facebook, unless you're paying, your content is not getting seen by so many eyeballs. So definitely. It isn't, and I know that your viewers are way past this, but I'd like to, say this again. It's not a platform where you go when you need a job. So when, you're tired of your job, so you start interacting with people. The LinkedIn, the algorithm knows this, no? So if you're consistently there, it's not the same as, you disappearing for 6 months, a year, and then coming back and seeing, okay, what can I get out of this platform? So it's not a platform to get a job, right? It's so much more than that. And we're going to get into, I'm sure, personal branding, right? Which goes beyond the job that you're in, because it's something that you take with you. And we've seen many examples of that. I think I start with that.
Yeah, and the thing that you said, it was the time for the LinkedIn growth, 5-6 years ago to start. I don't see it got me anything. So the growth just started recently. But what I'm seeing is that people who grew their accounts at that time, most of them are now influencers, but not you and me, but somebody who has influencers under his name by LinkedIn. And most of those people are totally inactive. They grew their account by doing something totally different. Let's say, even from my team, he has around 70,000 followers, And those followers came because he figured out the LinkedIn algorithm when it comes to be featured in LinkedIn articles at that time. So one article got him like 1,000 followers. And from that time, him and also Yag were doing that, and they figured out how the things are going. Now algorithm changed, and now some things are in the first place instead of articles, instead of like LinkedIn groups. Back in the days, you could have just spammed people by posting in 70 LinkedIn groups with one click. I mean, it was super, super cool from perspective of somebody who is sharing, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I get why we don't have that option anymore.
Yeah, that distribution was just too easy, no? That's.
And I mean, we can easily find people from our target group on LinkedIn just by name, by position in the company, by seniority. We can see everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one of the things that most people, forget is that. So let's say you're in a space, you're going to look for who are the influencers in that space. And when I say influencers, they don't necessarily have to have the actual badge of influencer, no? Just who's moving people, who's getting all these comments and all that engagement, and who, as soon as he says something, someone else is already posting about it and commenting, etc. So you find those, and then you find who's engaging. What are they saying? All that is gold. All the engagements, especially of course the comment, which is the comments, I think, are the only real engagements. But the comments could definitely help you. That's a whole nother subject. But who's liking those posts? Who's commenting? And literally who? So these could be your target customers. So you have them all there together, and that's something a filter cannot give you. So because taglines, headlines, profiles, all this, they're just, we're so bad at these things and we just stick with jargon. So, a LinkedIn filter won't guarantee that you'll have, your target group, but that will.
Yeah, I'm so glad somebody else said that, because I've been repeating that for a while. Thank you for that. And I have additional questions. When we talk about taglines, filters, and everything, do you see LinkedIn hashtags actually having an impact or no? Are they useful now, or more or less?
That's a super interesting question. I think I asked myself this, because every time I post, I put at least, I put 3, 3, 4, but I would never, I don't think I ever posted without a hashtag. That's so weird, no? And I just do it. And I think it's I don't think the hashtag in itself is going to get you anywhere, but it's an aggregator. So it's your initial engagement. If that you have, then it can help. Then again, the algorithm is one of those things that we don't know much about, right? It's we guess, and we all have our hypotheses, but I don't think the hashtag in itself is going to get you. I'm going to use hashtag marketing, and everyone that's following that hashtag is going to see my post. No. It can help you once you get your initial engagement from your first degree or second degree connections, no?
Yeah, I think like those interactions that happens in the first hour, in the first half an hour, are extremely important. And the way I see it, I stopped using hashtags. I mean, I'm using them from time to time, but I don't see any difference. Maybe you get another feed in which you will show up just by using hashtag. That may be an advantage, but I don't know. We'll see. So let's say we.
Well, can may I just jump? Yeah, it just there are people like, for example, I recently started promoting a hashtag which is less I, more you. Okay, because that's what I based my website on. So that helps. And then Bilal also does, you know, death to fluff. So that's your, in a sense, people that look for death to fluff hashtag, they'll see all his posts and all the relevant. So it's sort of like a way to curate content around that. That's a good way. But that's like the other way around, no? It's not using the hashtag to get exposure. It's sort of like an aggregator of your own content. You know? I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's true. We were using like funky marketing hashtag for a while. I don't know why we aren't using it. Maybe we should. But it's good because it's hard to find somebody's content on LinkedIn. The search doesn't work that way. I mean, it's hard to find even something that's been posted like the last month. Even harder to find something that's been posted like a year ago. Yeah. So, okay. So LinkedIn, we are there. We are creating demand around our products or services. And when exactly do we come to the time when we get to performance, when we get to see if we get out of this demand something, anything? How do you see that situation, that transition?
The transition, so you mean like actually result, no? From a result, not necessarily performance marketing, because I know that I think that, you know, many people like Chris Walker will tell you, you know, before you do demand, no, you have to make sure that you have a buy-in at least at the inside in the company, right? And that you do by capturing the existing demand. But when do you see it actually working? You know, things that you can't stick, you know, attribution to. When they start, you know, saying, you know, I saw your post on LinkedIn the other day, or I saw, you know, someone else, like a client will recommend my services, and I always pay attention to the words that they use, you know, when actually it's like the telephone game, you know. So he told that person that Zineb was good at this and she can help with this. So I always try to grab that. I think you start hearing things that I saw you hear. I listened to that podcast, no? And that's when you start seeing, and then mentioning, just a silly example with PitchSLAP. I'm starting to get mentions on sales posts. You know, people are, you know, on LinkedIn, you see a lot of people just roasting sales pitches that they get in the DMs, no? So some people actually tagged me and they said, what would Zineb do if, you know, like, how can we pitch slap them? No. so all this, no. All this proves that there's something. So people are actually seeing what you're putting out there, and you need to look for, keep an eye out for these things.
Have you seen there is something that I'm seeing? I don't see many people are talking about it. I think you're probably seeing it. Is that when people reach out to you, I don't know, from LinkedIn, and I'm seeing that people who are reaching out to me sometimes aren't the people that I'm connected with. Not in the comments, not as a connections. Maybe they are following me, but I don't know at that moment that information. But what I find out is they were watching videos, and videos are sort of like a mystical content out there, because you can see the likes. You cannot see who is viewing the videos, but you can just see the number of people number of times that somebody watched the video. And I think videos have bigger reach and bigger influence that we think they do, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, when you get people reaching out to you, you don't even know. You want to start to build that journey, to go back to how they're connected to you, and sometimes it's pretty difficult unless you start asking questions. But once and I'm sure it's happened to you too, where you've someone messaged you on LinkedIn, and you quickly look at their profile to see who you're connected with. What have you done? To sort of, we're always trying to understand, and sometimes unless you ask the questions, you don't know, and you get surprised sometimes, because I can't remember exactly when it was, but I remember I had been at an offline event, and I asked I asked a question at this event, and someone remembered, and I thought to myself, when I asked that question, I was like, what a stupid question, no, what a stupid question. Just shut up. To ask these stupid questions, shut up next time. And someone remembered that, and it was interesting to them, and then they reached out to me. So you never know who's listening. Yeah.
That was a PitchSLAP. Right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like those things. I'm also very direct. Like this morning, the client called me and they say, like, we won't continue to work together. And I said, okay, I know, because you didn't allow us to do what you hired us for, so there's no reason for us to continue cooperation. And she was like, I really like talking to you. Like, it's so strange. Like, okay, we'll continue talking, but we're not going to work together anymore.
Yeah.
But on LinkedIn, especially like in the last year, when my reach and engagement were very, on a lower level, I was sending message to each person that I'm connecting with. Not right away, but let's say like 20 days up to 2 months, maybe, whenever I find time to like send 200 messages. And I was just presenting myself like a welcome message and asking them what do they do, because I saw the profile and everything, and I just want to get into the conversation. And I received the biggest feedback ever for everything that I'm doing on LinkedIn, and not only on LinkedIn. I realize how many people are actually following what we are doing. They just don't interact for some reasons. And like, I found out one fact that most of those people have seen me somewhere talking. Because when I come here, when I moved here in Novi Sad, so I went all over the country in different cities inside the organization, which is connecting like all the IT community in Serbia. And I gave speeches, did workshops, all kind of things. And a lot of people saw me there. They never reached out. They never told me anything because it was like a huge crowd. And when I reach out to them, like if I didn't reach out, they wouldn't ever do the opposite towards me, And with some of them, we started working. With some of them, we created like relationships. Some of them are here in Novi Sad, so we are going to grab a coffee and just have a chat. And it's interesting, like what can happen when you ask for a feedback, when you just are being kind,
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when you also get that feedback when you don't ask, but when you're in, I think when you're being generous with what it is, not that you think you're the expert in, can we swear on this podcast or not? Yeah. So that your shit, and there you go, I said it, that you're an expert, your shit, and you're going out there, it's all ego. No, you're not being selfish with what so you're just putting it out there, right? Because everyone is at a different point in the journey. So your audience is not 100% prospects, is not qualified buyers. They're not 100% knowledgeable in marketing. They're all at different stages, right? So you're just being you, no, sharing that knowledge and not being selfish. So it hits home with some today, and it'll hit home with others some other day. You can't control them.
Yeah, that thing being myself got me in so much trouble, but it also got me here where I am now, right? Like I've been, let's say, punished so many times doing things on my own while I was like the second man in the previous companies. Like, I don't know, I had like 200, 300 euros less salary just because I did something. And in most of the cases, things that I did were things that got us out of the bad partnerships with bad clients. You know, and I was happy, like, okay, here's your 300 euros, I'm free. Like that was my mindset at the time. And yeah, so tell me, were you on LinkedIn when you were in the corporate world?
Rarely. No, rarely. Which is why, this is, what I started today, what I said at the very beginning. I've learned this the hard way, So I wish I would have been. I wish, yeah.
I'm interested in that transition from the corporate world to what you are doing today. So, okay, we don't need to go into LinkedIn, but tell me how did you feel and how did everything go with that transition? Was it like easy transition or how did it happen?
I feel like sometimes when you're on the right track, I feel like somehow life has a way of working out. So of course it was hard work, yes, but somehow it just works out. I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, from the corporate world, so I think the only thing I kept a couple of things from the corporate world is, the nice jackets. I'll wear them with jeans and, but I like this. That's the only thing. But in terms of mindset and everything, everything changed. I think the idea is I have a product marketing background. I really like, product and all that. And one of the challenges I had was being so far away from the customer, so far away. And I just felt like sometimes, once you did come out with you were building on hypotheses, and then there were no real facts. And then once you did put your product out there, and that was supposed to be a moment you were proud of, well, things have changed. Your, sales, the sales, I mean, it was so long, from, especially if you're doing, we were HQ. So we had, the sales teams in the different countries. They had their trade marketers, So then you had the end user, the end customer. So the chain was so long that how do you do marketing? I'm so far away from the end user, and I'm supposed to be developing a product for him or her, right? And that is something that I did not like. So I liked, other sides of that, but that was something that really, to me, and that's what really got me into marketing. That getting closer to the end user, and obviously startups is like the quickest way to actually shorten that chain, because you get into a startup and literally you're supposed to be talking to your end user. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds good. I've been talking directly with customers while working in like B2C for years, but so when I moved into the other space, I tried to get that mindset also in a B2B. And right now, like, we are not working that much with startups. I always try to have at least one, so we can like get into the dirt and see how the things are developing, just to like keep the team motivation on a certain level. But like, I'm thinking, okay, I'm 36 years old, so I want to work with companies that have already established culture and values and those kind of things. I've been working with companies who are on the other side for so many years now, and I want to help those that are doing good things get on the next level. And because of the things that we are doing when it comes to like demand, brand, and even performance, we need that one thing, like that culture in the company, that they know what they are gathering around. You know, it's no matter if it's product or the service, but they know what's their goal and when they're actually going to. So, but it was hard for me when I started to find a way, a niche, an industry. So first we started, okay, we're gonna do B2B, but we also have e-commerce, we have like solopreneurs, we have SaaS, we have all kind of different things. And while doing, we made a profile. It wasn't there from the start. So how it was for you? How did you decide who is your audience, in which way are you going, and those kind of things?
How did I decide? First of all, by doing. So, you know, I've only been a freelancer for almost, 3 years now. So before that, I was, obviously full-time in a project. So, the decision is there. No, you're in that project, and whether it's B2B, SaaS, or B2C. But as a freelancer, it's a work in progress. The first year, I think I had to make, I was, against the wall. I had to make a decision, because if not, your message is just not clear. No. Especially you can see it when you pitch. No, I would see when I pitched, so they would get excited because of the things that I share and stuff like that. But if I tell them my pitch, the twinkle in their eyes, just there's not much interest. No, because I'm not resonating with them. No, so with them, or I'm just not being specific. It's a work in progress though. So I've narrowed it down to B2B early stage. I love, all the product onboarding. So I really like SaaS, that's for sure. I like SaaS, but I'm not ready to say that I'm a SaaS, B2B SaaS early stage startup marketer. Maybe this is this is me. I'm saying it today live on your show. But yeah, I think it's more doing. It's more doing. And one of the things that I found that has made me stop is that, I mean, if you believe in cross-pollination, when you're a freelancer, you build up on knowledge from different sectors, from different companies, and then you provide more value to the next client, right? Because you have all this experience. You yourself gain more knowledge, no? So you improve your know-how. But if you say, okay, I'm SaaS, no, let's say this, let's take this as an example, then all your frameworks will be for SaaS. So the next client that comes in, it's boom, we do this first, and we do this first, and we do that first. But if you're not, let's say in the case of, a marketer that still hasn't decided whether they're B2C, B2B, etc., it's hard to get a framework. And without a process and a framework, you're not giving out as much value, and you're wasting a lot of time that could be, invested in learning something new, going to the gym, spending time with your friends, loved ones, So I think it's more that idea of process, and it need to be more efficient. Now, I think that was the word I was looking for. It's the need for efficiency that makes you decide, which way you have to go, because you can't be everything for everyone, no? Yeah.
I think we just had an example of how do you do it with the startups using your own example, just like make things specific and focus on efficiency, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because you're a one-man show at the beginning. You're especially for startups. I mean, you don't have a team of 20 people. So it's time is the most valuable resource that you have. Time. That's it.
Yeah, I felt it. I felt it on like funky marketing while I was starting. So we're not a startup, but anyway, like I didn't plan to hire anybody in 2020. I was just like, okay, it's my first time being an entrepreneur, and I wanna learn the game. Like marketing is okay. This is something that I know, but that risk of like leading the company and I mean, just running a business. And I've been doing that for other people. I haven't been doing it for myself. So I wanted to get there, but then like lockdown happened and all the clients that I have just called me, okay, we don't want to hire other people. Can you do more things for us? So I say, okay, I need more people. And this is how we start growing. But one of the first client that I had as funky marketing is Impact Hub Belgrade. So they're like the co-working, but also a pre-accelerator that's working with startups, mostly like tech startups, like food tech, edu tech, those kind of niches. And I was actually the one who wasn't working directly with startups, but getting startups to the program. So I got to experience a lot of things, to learn so much about startups. And I started like being a mentor for the startups, those kind of things. So tell me, what are some things that you're seeing in those new startups, some things that are common and some things that they can improve?
Well, common is the passion, that's the most obvious one, which has its downside too, because blind passion could lead you to to terrible to terrible places. But what am I seeing that they could definitely improve? First of all, 2020, if we're talking about this year especially, there are so many more entrepreneurs, so many businesses, and I think that is great, because it actually, the tools are there, you can do it. Not everyone's going to make it, of course, but at least they're trying, they're out there. People are doing some people have lost their jobs, so they're betting on this. Other people are that still have found still have their jobs, are betting on a side gig, which I think is pretty cool. I know a few of those side gig, they're taking advantage of this opportunity to learn something new, and who knows, maybe leave the other job and go full-time, dedicate their time to that side gig. So I think it's pretty cool. In terms of things that they could improve, it's talking to your customers. I'm going to repeat it. Talking to your customers, right? It seems right. I know it's hard. Like I'm in it. I know it is hard. It's a work in progress. So whatever you need to do, whether it's put it in your calendar, put it as one of the KPIs, like number of prospects or customers that you've spoken to in each week, whatever you need to do. I even thought of, maybe we can talk about this. I even thought of tying it to the budget. No? If we tie it to the budget, does that mean that we'll actually do it? But then again, we're not kids, we shouldn't be able to I mean, if we know that something is important, why don't we just do it? No, as opposed to having your big boss saying, "Did you do this or did you do that?" No, we should believe that that's
we're
important.
humans.
No,
We're humans. That's how it goes. Like nothing goes as planned, and we need to have always that in mind.
Yeah. So I don't know. Talking to customers is one of the biggest ones. I see this again and again and again. It's one of the most difficult things to surpass and to do on a regular basis, because this is not just during customer validation. This is, even after you do have, your customer base, you have to consistently, be listening to sales calls or talking to prospects, going on podcasts and talking, and it's something that you need to consistently do, and I don't know how else to say it so that it actually resonates more. No.
It just brings me the things that I'm noticing, and especially I don't know how it is in other countries. Where are you working with startups, in Barcelona or somewhere else?
Well, I mostly online, so it's everywhere.
Anywhere.
But yeah, I'm based in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm talking with a lot of startups here from Southeast Europe, and the things that I'm seeing is like two developers sit one next to other in a company, say, "Man, I have this idea. Let's go work on it." And that's it. They don't talk to anybody. It's just like I have this problem. Probably you have it too. Yes, it's two of us. Let's develop something. And this is not it. And in most cases, that's how it goes. Like here in Southeast Europe, we have a lot of people with good technical skills. So there are good universities and people are learning so many things, but we don't have anybody that knows how to develop a business. We don't have like business development part. And when it comes to access to venture capital, that's like 0 to none. It's changing right now. There are a few people changing it, but those are kind of restrictions. What's your impression when you work with them?
I think that if not all businesses are meant to be funded, they could be scalable, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, if you're a startup, you need to go out to get funding. So I think that most people confuse those things, right? But if you need that funding, you need to be able to de-risk for the investor. And one of the most obvious ways, I think maybe the only way to de-risk is showing that you have traction. So, you work back. Let's take, you want the funding. What do you need to get the funding? That show that you've learned and you've got traction. And even more so today, because their investors have access to so many more pitches, so everything is online. So have access to more, and they're, the whole COVID situation has added on a layer of risk, right? So you really need to de-risk. You show that you have traction. So to be able to get traction, what do you need? No, if we work backwards, and what do you need? You need to have spoken to your customers, right? To know if really the hypotheses that you have in your head, the story that you've built, like the two developers, the example you just gave, if there's actually someone willing to buy it, no? And not just someone, there are many people like that someone. And is that market a growing market? And is that a need that happens again and again, like Instagram? Like, do we need to check it consistently? So there's a list of things, but yeah, I mean, it's all tied to traction, I think. That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, or like in other words, it's also like MVP. just show him that you have something that can give results. Because basically, venture capital people, they're interested in making money, right? That's so obvious. That's why they invest in something, and they need to see either that you have a great product, but you can maybe improve your team, or you have a great team but doesn't have like the perfect product yet. Those kind of things are always important. Like I'm seeing that team comes right next to the product, and it's equally important. And I don't know if you are seeing this, but also seeing a lot of people in startup world, they get emotionally attached to what they are creating, to their startup, to their idea, you know.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work and you get the feedback and you see it's not working, maybe it's time to stop working on it and move on to something else.
The art of knowing when to quit, no? You know, one of the first things that I said is the passion, no? Passion, and passion is great, but it can also lead to what you just said, which is, you know, I'm just passionate about this, blindly passionate about this. and there's only the outside, you know, your network, your prospects, your team that can keep you in check. Because if not, yeah, definitely you're just blinded, and you're gonna be the only one, no, running this one.
So I have a question before I ask you something else, but it just came to my mind. So what do you think, when is the right time for a startup to invest in marketing? This is a common question, and I see it a lot. So I want to see how do you think about it?
Same, you know, we usually get the question in our sessions of when should we start selling? The answer is yesterday, no? Right? So it's the same thing. It's just that when we think investing in marketing, I think we confuse, you know, budget. Like, when should I take a budget and put it, you know, put that one and put the name marketing? I think you're already investing your time from the very beginning. Like, you should be marketing from the very beginning, you know? And especially if we get into building brand, all this, but you should be in the very beginning investing. Another thing is performance marketing, right? Those are two different things. But from day one, everything, you know, everyone should be investing their time in marketing. And I think in one of your recent posts, I think it was either you or Ivan, where it's, you know, demand generation is not just a marketing thing, it's everyone, everyone's responsibility. Now at PitchSLAP, we say that, you know, what's that pitch that everyone could be pitching, even your developer, when he's or she is at an event in their community of development stuff, right, can pitch the same story. No, everyone needs to be pitching this story. Everyone needs to be marketing. So I don't know if that was the answer you were expecting.
Yeah, it's a good one. I totally agree. And also one thing that people forget is that, like you said, it marketing is not advertising. Advertising is just a part of the picture, and also, like, the story itself is part of the marketing. And the story might be also, besides those assets that we said, like the product or the team or anything else that's included, the story is the one that will decide how or are we going to get the investment, whatever we are pitching. So the story might be the most important thing. So what do you say? How do you go with startups when it comes to the story development and those kind of things?
Most of them, like the example I gave you of everyone on the team pitching, right? So everyone, if you want to replace remove pitch and say, you know, a one-liner or whatever you want to call it, at the end, it's one coherent message that comes from the top, right? So the CEO, has owns this story, no? And then it comes out in different ways. It comes out in your one-liner, it comes out in your pitch deck, it comes out. So there's definitely a coherence of this story. I mean, we love stories, right? It's just that not everyone is good at storytelling. Yeah. So not everyone has that. We're much more comfortable talking about features. That's for sure. We're not even comfortable talking about benefits. No. And usually we confuse the benefits and the features, and then we have a list of 10 things that are the main benefits, which in theory there are features. So that's for a whole nother stage. No. So I think we're just the fact that we don't know how to write a good story, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. So you can ask for help, you can read up on that, at least try, that's the only thing. But definitely stories is the best way. We've done stories have been around for generations, no? And that's what we remember most, how they made us feel, no?
Yeah, or you called PitchSLAP and Zineb, right? If you need help with the stories and everything.
Right.
Yeah, and I have an additional questions. We're slowly getting to the end. You said that time passes fast. You said that
I can't believe it.
Yeah, we're talking for 50 minutes already.
I know.
You said that the story goes from the CEO down, and what if the CEO is the guy who said, I only want to code, to put my headphones on, my music, and to code. And if I have to do the presentation, the pitch, okay, I will do it. But what do you say to those kind of people if they have somebody better in the team? Should the CEO do it, or somebody else can do it instead of him?
Yeah, that's a super great example, because generally sales, let's say, just to talk about, they're all connected, but generally sales, it's the founders that are the first ones to sell, right? So before you get a sales team, the founders have to actually learn, what actually resonates, what works, what doesn't work, etc. And if you have someone that's very inside in developer, and they founded the company alone in your example, because if they founded the company with someone else, generally two people, one will bring in the inside in, the other one the inside out. So the outside, the social part, the more the contact. But if it weren't the case, then yeah, definitely the next. It's not about who gives it, because it could be someone that does the marketing. It's just that the CEO has to believe it. It has to be. That's the one thing. So that everyone is aligned with one story, no matter if it's a newsletter or a one-liner or an ad or whatever. But it has to believe it, and yeah, it has to believe in that, and he has to look at, even if he's he's a developer at heart. He must believe in this business, that it's gonna go from A to B, and it has a vision, and So I'm sure it's okay if the marketing person, or if they have a co-founder or CMO do that. I've seen that many times, because us marketers are just so much more out there, and but I have to believe it. The CEO has to believe it, I think. What do you have you seen that?
Yeah,
that example?
I came up with that question because last year at this time I was a startup mentor on an advertising festival here, and there were like 3 startups that were about to pitch in the finals. Like, it was so boring, like all of them. But then came the third one. First 2, like, they were boring. Then came the third one, and it was it appears to be like my a girl from my hometown. Like, she's just somebody who's interested in data. So she came up with the idea. It was a great idea, and they made her do the presentation. She's not the girl who is like free to talk on those kind of occasions. And it was like, somebody made me come here and talk about my product, you know? So it was total disaster, if you ask me. And I asked her, she said, it was really a disaster. Like, I'm not the one who should be pitching.
It's interesting. I don't know if we have a couple more minutes, but this one is interesting because I believe that everyone should be able to pitch. I really feel that everyone should be able to pitch. That's a super great exercise. Now, whether, someone puts in more energy than someone else, or because they're just a better, there are people that are better at this, with the, the pauses and the tone and but everyone should be able to pitch. The pitch.
Yeah, I totally agree. And everybody should at least know a few things about public speaking, about those kind of things, just so they can present themselves in the right way. And we didn't learn that like we're just born like that. Somebody maybe is, but like you and I, we might not have those things when it comes to like taking pauses, those kind of things. We get into the jams and we get people involved in what we are saying, right? I'm coming back each year. I think Facebook is reminding me out of my first presentation in English, when my English was a lot worse than it is right now, and I was doing a presentation about collectivism, how people are clicking and not really engaging offline, like using warthogs in the woods as an example, all kind of things. And it was like the last presentation before the lunch. And like I finished it in like 10 minutes and people were still sitting over there, didn't go to lunch. So I said, do you want me to tell you another story? They say yes. So I continue telling the story. Right at the beginning of the presentation, the girl from the organization came with a mobile and started to record everything. So it's on YouTube. And like I started to tell them the story why I should be active, like about activism. And it was the story that included ex-girlfriend. I mean, it's totally imaginary story. I heard it somewhere else, so I just told them the story. But I was able to tell the story the right way because I engaged them. I asked them like, what did she do? What did I do? Those kind of things. And like still up to these days, some of them, they don't believe me that the girlfriend was somebody who doesn't exist. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine story because they I think it's because they felt you made them feel a certain way, and they don't want to believe that that's fake. No.
Yeah, and I didn't like think about things that I don't have, like my English wasn't perfect, those kind of things, but I knew that I can send out the message, and that's the only thing that's important. Everything else will just follow and be better in time.
Absolutely. I love that message. That last one.
Yeah, I'll send you the video. You will laugh.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, so is there anything that I forgot to ask you or you forgot to say, or it's something that you just want to let it out of yourself? Go ahead.
No, nothing for now. Looking forward to another chat. Maybe I'll have you on the chats that I do.
Nice.
And super happy to have finally met you. And
likewise.
And I still have to watch the rest of your interview with Yag, which is a great opening.
Yeah, Yag was we were talking. actually starting, and he was like, I said, man, this guy who is doing transcription for us will have a hard job. But Yag is like super great. We had virtual coffees before and just hang out, and super nice guy. I like to host all of you in here in Serbia for starters. It's good. We can take some time to mention this. So my idea before Corona strikes was to organize an offline event, an unconference for the people in the marketing world, maybe creatives, maybe. To gather them in one place to do everything but marketing. So mountain bikes, kayaking, hiking in the woods, all kind of things, just enjoying near the river. And in the evenings, we get a few like professionals who can shine a light on the marketing, give us something, some new perspectives near the fireplace, and we get to have one-on-one intimate conversations, you know, and basically to build a community from there. And the idea was to organize one in Balkan Mountains near my hometown. So because it's like 2 rooms, 3 actually, room for 20 people. So we will all be in one object, so all connecting, and then I can move it all around the world. So that's still an idea, but we're waiting better health situation, right, to do it actually.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, a funky retreat.
That's
you know,
a good name.
where you go each year, it's somewhere different. That sounds amazing. As long as you didn't mention any wine or beer, as long as there's some, you know. I don't think you mentioned.
Of course, it's unconference. So.
Okay. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, super cool. Zineb, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this with me. I'm sure we'll have a second conversation, either or this podcast or yours or somewhere else. Maybe Luke will invite us to have a group conversation. Right. So we'll see. Thank you once again, and like keep in touch on the LinkedIn.
Definitely. Thank you so much.